Thanks for starting the streaming. And just check the gallery view. Good. Thank you for setting everything up, Lalesh. Very good. And I think the guest will be joining any moment, and then I can ask her about the settings and things. Okay. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very good to see you. So welcome. Thanks for joining. Lovely to see you. So I'm just going to go over a few couple of housekeeping points. So this is going to go, it's going to be live streamed to a private Mana TV YouTube channel, meaning that only Mana TV get to see it. And then they take the episode, then they edit it, and then we'll actually see it like in a proper episode that's going to air eventually. So.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay, so I just wanted to go a couple of things. I'm going to announce you. So I'm just going to, how do I pronounce your name in full so I say it correctly?
So it's Pallavi and then Gouda.
Got it. Pallavi Gouda.
And then Da.
Yeah, Pallavi Gouda, and then also known as Palu Zumba Doc. I'm going to say that. And you're joining us from Washington, D.C. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll go on to the questions that I know my team shared with you earlier.
Okay, that sounds good. Is it clear?
It's actually clear, but what I'm going to say is because you're on camera, try not to move around too much. So once you've picked your spot, stay there. So I would say try and center yourself. And can you see where you can see my head and my shoulders up to here? See if you can see a little bit more of you too, so we're a bit more kind of centered. So maybe move your chair back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can move my chair back. Like that. Okay. Oh, let me move this.
I mean, you don't have to go back too far or anything, just so that we, from a viewer's perspective, we kind of look equal.
Yeah, understandable. That's okay, that can be there.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think that the way you are now, that's good.
Okay.
Yep, that's perfect. So just remember, like any movement on camera can look a little bit funny. So just as much as possible, use your body language, things like that, but just sort of try and stay still as much as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Amazing. All right, so I'm just going to count us down, and we're going to go for it. This shouldn't take that long. If you have, just take a deep breath, you'll be totally fine. And I'm looking forward to this. So
thank you. Give me just a few minutes, okay?
Okay, absolutely. Get yourself settled and.
If I minimize my screen, you can't tell anything, right? That doesn't show for you, correct?
You're looking the same to me, so.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is if you have any phones or anything switched on or notifications, you might want to just put them on silent or do not disturb on your phone so it doesn't sort of ring or anything like that, so.
Okay, let me, yeah. Okay. Wait 1 second. Okay.
We good?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm just going to count down and we're going to get started.
Okay.
Perfect. In 3, 2, and 1. Hi, everyone. I'm Rita Kakati Shah, your host for The Uma Show. Welcome to your one-stop journey to feeling empowered. We're a platform for change. We build confidence. We are your voice. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma. Today, we're exploring inspiring women, and I'm so excited to be joined by our goddess of go-getting, Pallavi Gouda, who's also known as Palu Zumba Doc, and she's joining us from Washington, D.C. She's an internal medicine doctor. She formerly served in the US military, and she's a Zumba pro. Welcome, Palu. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you? It's such an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So welcome to our show. So let's start by talking about your heritage, your childhood, and how you grew up.
Yeah, so I am a first generation immigrant. I came when I was 6. So my family was already here, and I relocated with them, and we grew up in a low to middle class income household, and my mom was a nurse. My father was a chemistry PhD professor, and they really emphasized education. I was also additionally interested in sports and very active in that way, but yeah, that's just a little bit about my journey.
Amazing. And where did you immigrate from?
I came from India. So Mysore is where I was born. And
Mhm.
I stayed in a rural village for about 4 years, and was in Mysore for about 2 years, and then came here at the age of 6.
Wow, that must have been a transition, but so exciting for you at that age to come here with your family.
Very true.
You mentioned education, and education is a topic that really dominates many conversations in South Asian families. So, can you walk us a little bit through that journey of yours and how you actually ended up in medicine?
Sure, sure. So growing up, I had a father who had heart problems, and he had to have an emergency open heart surgery at the age of
Mm.
43.
Wow.
And which is not very common even in the medical world. But, for me, as I idolize this person, a parent, a father figure, um, it was really devastating. And so through the advent of medicine and, him having the surgery and the medicines he took afterwards, I just really came to appreciate medicine in general, and knew that I wanted to go to medical school from that standpoint at that
Mm.
point. But so that had a big impact. My mom's a nurse, so she would always tell us about the kind of the day-to-day the stresses as well as the joys of nursing and taking care of patients, and just the love that we get to spread and share. So that's how that developed for me.
Amazing. And I love it's how, it's actually your actual personal kind of how you grew up and your responsibilities and what you faced that really shaped your decision to pursue that career and what you stuck with.
Right.
So, speaking of careers, it's a very unique career that you have, especially for a South Asian woman, because you actually served in the US military and you've won several awards, such as the National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the Army Superior Unit Award. So, congratulations for all of that.
Thank
Um,
you.
Talk to us about your military career and your endeavors now.
Yeah, so almost exactly 20 years ago, I, just like everyone else, witnessed the terrorist attacks on 9/11, and I was very affected by it. I was very moved by it, and I felt a sense of patriotism to the U.S. since I had largely grown up here. And with that emotion, I actually enlisted to join the U.S. Army. And
Mm.
along with that, they had a health scholarship that helped pay for part of medical school. They give you a stipend. And so, coming from the low to middle income class family that I came from, when my parents said, we can't afford medical school here, it's a lot of money. And so I understood that, and I didn't expect them to. So this was kind of a win-win situation in that way. It helped financially, as well as I was able to give back and show my patriotism. But yeah, being in the United States Army was it was a different experience in the sense that there weren't very many Indian women, right? And
Mm.
so I, you know, just taking a step back, having come to this country at the age of 6 and feeling kind of out of place, I got used to, I got comfortable with feeling out of place, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
so I think once you get to that point, then doing things that are out of your so-called comfort zone, that are really self-created barriers, right? So doing things that are outside of the norm, or outside of what the rest of their family has done, doesn't seem so monumentous. It doesn't seem like it's so difficult. So when I joined the Army, given that I was already athletic in nature, and given that I, firmly believed in discipline and following rules, I wasn't the type that, questioned that. Then it wasn't so bad. It was there's a camaraderie within any branch of the military, that nation first. And so I think with that camaraderie, I was able to, fulfill my duties to the U.S. Army. And so I was an Army doctor. And so I took care of soldiers who came back from Afghanistan. And I knew that I would. Even when I signed up, I was told that I'd probably be deployed, and I was to Afghanistan, and I was ready to take care of the soldiers who came back and who fought there. So it's something that you decide to do, and you kind of stick with it. And it's a prestigious route. So, you know, you don't have too many, it's not too much of a risk taking, I guess, in that way. Yeah.
Amazing. What commendable work you're doing, and thank you for sharing. Are you still involved with the military at all in any of the endeavors that you do today?
So I work with veterans, helping veterans transition to from military world to the civilian world, yeah, that we do a lot of work with that. But otherwise, I'm not active duty anymore. I had an honorable discharge in 2013. So,
oh, incredible. Yeah. Well, again, congratulations for that amazing work that you continue to do even today. So, your other name, Balu Zumba Doc. Tell us where that came from.
yeah, so given that I'm a doctor, that's where the doc part comes. And then I'm also certified in Zumba. So the other thing I really love is dance. And so Zumba was a way to blend dance and exercise. And I grew up in a small town where we didn't have classical dance to Indian dance to take, or I didn't take any dance classes. And so yeah, this was how I was able to blend my fitness and my love for dance. And so the Zumba doc is literally because of that. Yeah. And then the Palu is just, you know, short for Pallavi. So Palu Zumba doc is actually a term that one of my colleagues coined, and it stuck.
I love it. And it's just so memorable as well. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So speaking of your colleagues and that, you actually helm your own medical practice too. So talk to us a little bit about your speciality and what your practice does.
Yes, so I have an internal medicine practice. I'm a solo practitioner. I have one person who works for me who's absolutely amazing. And we have such a great, you know, connection in terms of taking care of our patients and just being on the same page about health and wellness, that we work really well together and our patients are very happy. It's actually a concierge medical practice. And so my patients, I have a smaller panel of patients than a traditional medical practice. It's membership based. And I'm able to keep my patients out of the hospitals, out of urgent cares, because I'm so accessible. And you know, with the advent, especially during this pandemic, with the telehealth, much more than, you know, it was before, I'm even able to travel, you know, be out of town and still care for my patients. So, you know, we have a few concierge doctors here who kind of take call for each other if we're out of town. But overall, you know, with the access to healthcare, it's our patients are healthier. It's proven by data that the more interaction you have with your primary health care doctor, that you're healthier. And so therefore, I think this is why this model works. So constant communication and, you know, things like that. So I think that, you know, one of the benefits of having served in the military and being discharged is that I had the post 9/11 GI Bill, which allows you to basically go back to school. It's meant to help, you know, soldiers who want to transition to civilian world and, you know, get a job, because many of the job descriptions can't be translated to the civilian world. And so this is an effort to, you know, the Vietnam veterans had that, and just like that, this GI Bill is there. So I was able to utilize that, and I got my Master's of Health Administration degree from George Washington University School of Public Health. So as a result, you know, I think using all of the available means that are out there, education is never a waste. And I got it knowing that in the future I'd be interested in things like health policy, which I've done some work in, and public health. So it also gave me the confidence to open this practice and do this. So I think that taking all the opportunities that we have forth in front of us, taking advantage of them and really moving ahead is very important, especially for Indian women, South Asian women.
Absolutely. And speaking of South Asian women, research actually does show that women leave their jobs due to burnout, specifically during the pandemic. One of the reasons cited unequal sharing of household and family responsibilities, and driving their interpretation down in the workforce. So, as a medical practitioner and fitness expert, what do you think is the secret sauce for balancing your responsibilities at home?
So I think balancing responsibilities in general, in life in general, is knowing your priorities. One, two, and three is knowing your priorities. And so if you find your priority and, you think about, the day that we pass and what legacy we want to leave for it. Do you want to be known for the work that you've done, which is fine. Everybody's is different. And so, or is it the family that you're part of, or you're being a mother? I have two children, ages 10 and 5, those kind of things. So you realize your priorities, and once that's very clear, everything else, you make it fall into place. So for example, in my life, I am divorced. I have two children, ages 10 and 5, and they are my world. And so I know that, I will bend over backwards, anything to make sure that they have what they need in life to succeed. And I'm there for them. And I'm in a medical practice that allows me to be a mother, that allows me to have a life of my own. I do a lot of community service, and my patients are aware of that in my off time. And then also to be, have flexibility with this job. So it's important with the jobs that we choose as women, working professional women, what the flexibility is for, childcare, things like that come up unexpectedly. We know, things are hard to predict. So knowing your priorities and choosing a profession or a job that allows you to, stand by your priorities. And honestly, in my case, I'm so fortunate that I have patients who understand if, for example, one of my children are sick, then I need to be there, and they can't go to school and they have to be at home, things like that, they're so flexible. And I just love that. I've had to, I've worked it out where I've come in on a Saturday or Sunday before, and my patients know that they're also a priority, but, they would never ask me to choose, children over them or anything like that. So I think once you know your priorities, choosing things, a lifestyle that helps align with that is really key. And saying no to things that are just not possible. We as women, we try to do it all and try to be superwoman, and it's really not necessary, right? So we want to not spread ourselves so thin that we get burnt out. And in the traditional model, I was starting to feel burnt out, I'll be honest. And I predicted that. And so therefore I left that and switched gears before I reached that level. So having the awareness of, knowing you're going to reach burnout, and knowing that, you don't have to do it all, and asking for help when needed is really important, because mental health state, we need strong mothers, we need strong parents to guide our children, right? So taking care of ourselves is like putting that oxygen mask, on a plane before we put for others around us. So that's how I've been able to manage it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because you're right. Unless we look after ourselves, we cannot be there for our kids, our families, our work, our practices, whatever it is. So saying no, it's such an important skill to practice from now on.
True.
Really said, yeah. So challenges, they're a part of life, as we all know, and it's how we deal with them that really strengthens and sets us apart. Could you share maybe a personal, professional challenge and what you did to come up about it?
A challenge. So I've had many challenges. People often see me and they think I'm the definition of success. Things are going well. I seem happy on social media, which I really am. And I'm fortunate to be there, but it's not always been easy. And it's the challenges. So for example, 2019, February 2019, ended a marriage of 14 years. That was devastating. 2 months later, my father passed away. And so I reached a point of severe depression where I would call it rock bottom. And so at that point, I had to make a decision for myself. Was I going to stay depressed or even, end my life, or was I going to live my life to my fullest and just enjoy every minute? And there was no in between. When you hit rock bottom, there's no, in between. It's either you're going one way or the other. And so I think that was a pivotal moment in my life where I decided I wanted to be happy. So it's not, happiness is something that you have to decide you want to be. It's not something that just comes upon you. It's not just, if I do this one thing, that I'm going to be successful and then I'm going to be happy. No, it's an inner decision that you make. And so that way there's no external factors that can change that, right? Because it's not guided by any external factors. And so I am now able to live my life to the fullest. I enjoy every experience that I am part of. I feel thankful. So gratitude is very important, because often, we get in a rut where we forget all the good things that happen to us when we are so down and even depressed, and we forget about the good things. And so the gratitude is immensely important. I have even my children at night say 3 things they're grateful about. And I try to keep electronics out of that conversation. But, so those are the things. I don't wish it on anyone to hit rock bottom, but if anyone's ever been there, that there's no in between, and you make a decision to, live life to your fullest and experience new things. And I really emphasize that comfort zone that I mentioned earlier. Try to remove that as much as possible, because they're, again, self-created barriers. So when it was 9/11 and I was, enlisting for the Army, that was not something I was comfortable with. No one's been in the military in my family. And so, just recently I did, last year, I participated in 2 beauty pageants. That was not something in my comfort zone at all, but it was just something that, the opportunity came across, and I had some people say, hey, you're influential, you're a positive role model. And so why don't you try this? And I said, sure, why not? If it's not harmful, why not try it out? And so I know my daughter was rooting for me. And so, the roles have kind of turned at some points. So just last weekend, I was at the event where they had this year's beauty pageant. We had to attend because we were last year's winners. And my daughter said to me, if I won, I would have walked like this, or I would have worn this, or I would have said that. But for me, what was so powerful about that was that she has it in her mind to say, if I won. When I was a child, I never even thought I was attractive to be even in a beauty pageant. So you have to have a level of confidence to even say that. And so that made me happy, more than the fact that she was like, mommy, you could have said this or said that. It was more the fact that she now knows that if she sets her mind to anything, she can do it. So that was powerful for me.
Yeah, really, really powerful messaging as well, to give the next generation, your kids as well. Absolutely. So you're always busy, you're always working, you're always doing everything under the sun. What do you do to relax?
What do I do to relax? I, engage with friends. I know during the pandemic, that's been a little bit of a challenge, but we're able to meet outside and so forth. I enjoy dancing, like I said. So, with parties where there's some element of Bollywood dancing, I always enjoy. But yeah, just interacting with others is really something that I enjoy. And believe it or not, as challenging as divorce is, the other aspect to it when there's children involved is that your children are part of the time with other parent, which is necessary, because I think children need both parents to be strong and healthy and a positive impact on them. But when they were away, because so much of my life outside of work was being with my children and being that mother role, when they were away, it was almost depressing. And it got to a point where I decided, again, I'm going to be depressed, or I'm going to go out and do things. And so I started getting involved in community initiatives and food drives, and that all stemmed from just trying to keep occupied. But at the same time, helping others is rewarding to yourself, right? It's the concept of seva. And so that being involved in the food drives and the community initiatives have helped me as much as it's helped others. And so I would encourage anyone who is in a place of privilege to do that, right? So my parents couldn't do that. They were working to make ends meet, to put food on the table, pay the mortgage, things like that. So if I call it a place of privilege to be able to do that. If you're able to do that, just know that it's rewarding, and I would really encourage that.
Absolutely. Amazing advice there. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, what advice would you give to any young girls or women wanting to follow in your footsteps?
Sure. So I think, as I've emphasized already, removing those self-created barriers and just being open to trying new things, knowing about, so introspection and having self-awareness to know what your talents are, what your interests are, is important, because that'll guide what you want to do in the future. But also knowing that we now live in an age and era where you can achieve anything that you want to, even things that were previously thought of as male roles, whether it's a CEO or whether it's any leadership position. Knowing that, if you work hard enough, you can achieve it, is really, self-doubt is really what holds us back more than any external factors. So being aware of that is really what I would say, along with the basic study hard, all of that stuff, because education is so important. As much as I love dance and as much as I love fitness, I think having the solid education allows me to enjoy those other things in my free time, right? So these are the things that I would emphasize to all little girls.
Brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Balu, for sharing your incredibly inspiring journey with us today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us on this empowerment journey. We want you all to embrace that inner goddess or go-getting. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma.
Sure.
And that's it, we're done.
I wanted to share actually two last things.
Okay.
One is that, so the dress that I'm wearing, I like to support women entrepreneurs. And so the dress that I'm wearing is by a company called Inner Belief, based in Maryland, DC, Virginia area, by the artist and designer Savita Gilbert. So she's actually originally a lawyer by profession, but she's also an artist into watercolor artistry. And she basically designed these, dresses and all sorts of clothing that it's her own personal company. She's a South Asian woman, strong woman. And so I like to support her. And
I love that. Maybe we can tag her.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. In fact, the clothing that's sitting over there, if you can see that,
I love
that's
it.
also hers as well. That's the reason I
maybe
have that.
You could always we can tag her when we do the marketing, but also afterwards maybe introduce me to her. I'd love to kind of see her background, and maybe my team can have a look, and we can even have her on the show at some point. She can talk a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that'd be good to do that.
The other thing is, I just recently published a book called The Warrior Women Project. And so it is a book of 22 individuals who've written our personal stories. And so there are trials and tribulations that, these women have experienced. And even though they're all from different backgrounds, you'll realize that the common thread is the wanting to move ahead despite any obstacles that were ahead of us. And so, I'd like to tag, them as well in it. And if your viewers are interested, it's called the Warrior Women Project, and it's all about women and empowerment and resilience.
Amazing. So what I'd like to request from you, Paolo, if you could send us an email to my PR team with about just a bit about your dress and about the book. When we publish later on social media, when we present you, we can definitely put that on there. So that would be on there. We can send, and also she's the author of the Worry Woman Project, and then write something about the book as well. Just a quick one-liner for both would be amazing.
Sure. I'd love to.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course. And before I do let you go, we normally do like a quick 10-15 second promo for the show. So I'm just going to reintroduce you again. And then I'm going to say on the show, Balu, what are we going to talk about on the show? And then you just tell us a quick 10-15 second snapshot. We're going to talk about my ex-military days, how we got into medicine, and my steps in inspiring people, or whatever it is, just something about what we're going to talk about. Cool?
Sure.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. On the next episode of The Uma Show, I'm going to be in conversation with Balu Gowda from Washington, D.C., also known as Balu Zumba Doc. Balu, welcome. What are we going to talk about on the show?
So we're going to talk about my journey, my childhood, how I got to build confidence and become the dynamic person that I am. Not that I was all the time, but all life experiences that have kind of led up to being a medical doctor, being a U.S. Army veteran, doing community service, as well as just personal struggles and professional struggles as well. So I really hope that your viewers find inspiration in listening to this. Thank you.
Amazing. Can't wait for the show.
Yay.
Perfect. That was amazing. And Balu, you know what? Separately, you are so inspiring. So I would love to set up a separate time where we can just chat a little bit about, I'll tell you exactly what my company Uma does. I want to hear more about your work as well, because it's really, really inspiring what you do. And also I haven't been to DC in a while, but my brother-in-law lives there. So I would love to, next time I do go and visit him, kind of, set something up and we can maybe meet or something, or, have a coffee or whatever. I'd love to do that. So yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. And this will, you said it's eventually going to be on YouTube, and I can post it on Facebook eventually.
Yes. So what's going to happen, it's going to be going on to, so Mana TV publish it in their different, TV streams, it comes on YouTube, whatnot. We also put it on our YouTube as well. So once that link is ready, I will send it to you. And then, you'll be tagged anyway on, Instagram, Facebook. We put it on LinkedIn as well, Twitter. And once you see it, you can share it. If you want to actually on your email, if you want to just put your number on there, I can actually just save it and I can WhatsApp you as well when I have it. So I do that a lot as well with my guests. So if you feel comfortable.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. And we'll stay in touch and I'll see you soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, Balu.
Bye-bye.